it's Calxiyn here, and so today we are doing a video, about a theory made by OmalleyVixerello. Can you look at this, Hunter? Anyway.
OmalleyVixerello.
I'm sorry. Who is also Insane Alpha Beta.
It's the name you would get if a robot had sex with an Italian had sex with an Irishman.
Okay. Anyways, so we are doing their theory that is on the RWBY Amino. They didn't pay me to do this. If you guys know, when I see a theory, or not on the RWBY Amino, sorry, on the Rooster Teeth site, y'all know that I kind of troll around on Reddit and stuff like that, and if I find a theory that I like or something that I want to talk about, I steal it. But they gave us permission. They wanted us to do this. Just to clarify. So anyway, this is basically talking about Ozpin. Here's what I noticed yesterday. Back in Chapter 6 of Volume 3, Fall, Ozpin asks Pyrrha what her favorite fairy tale is, and the first one she says is The Tale of Two Brothers. I think she just lists some of them. I don't think that's her favorite, but anyways. So no doubt that one's about the two gods, and he also says, would you have believed me if I told you, that one that has been around since he was a boy, and he's talking about the one of the 4th seasons, not long after that. Galinda says the maidens have been around for thousands of years. Ozpin said in Chapter 3, Volume 5, Unforeseen Complications, that he has also been around for thousands of years, which would indicate that he was around during that time. Yes. So this is kind of pre the newest episode, but now we know that Ozpin is the wizard, much to Hunter's dismay.
Not to mind, just we hadn't been confirmed.
I know, but like I told you to eat shit. It was great. It was pretty nice.
It was one of your happier moments.
I know it was. It probably was. Anyways, and then in a much needed talk, Crow says this. Ren says, "But what does this have to do with us?" Crow says, "Well, that's a kicker. See, the 4 gifts to mankind: knowledge, creation, destruction, and choice aren't just metaphorical. Each of them exists in a physical form, left behind by the gods before they abandon Remnant." So we've talked about this in a while. People keep saying that this isn't the theory talking, this is me. People keep saying that, like, oh no, Ozpin couldn't have existed, Salem could have only existed recently, while Ozpin exists for thousands of years. Something people fundamentally do not understand. For Ozpin to continue to reincarnate, the reason he's reincarnating is because of Salem. This means Salem needs to be at least as old as Ozpin for this to work. Do you understand? Like, it's pretty much math at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have 2 + 2 = 4 if, like, the other 2 is missing, if that makes sense. Like, the only reason why Ozpin is a 4 is because there was a 2, and that 2 is Salem. I know that's a horrible analogy, but the thing is, it's like being like, oh, Cal, but you could have existed before, like, your mom got pregnant. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, you feel me, though, right, Hunter? Like, you understand what I'm saying. Like, sure. Salem needed to be around the same amount as Ozpin, because the only reason Ozpin is cursed is because Salem was here. So Salem couldn't have existed, like, 60 years ago, because the only reason Ozpin ever got cursed in the first place was because he couldn't stop her, like, 1,000 years ago. Right? Like, I feel people are, like, forgetting that for some reason. The only reason why he's cursed, if he wasn't cursed, he wouldn't even be here, and this wouldn't even be an issue. You know what I mean? Like, if Salem popped up, like, 80 years ago or something, Ozpin wouldn't be here to deal with it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to clear that up. So then Ozpin says, I'm the combination of countless men who have spent their lives trying to protect the people of Remnant with every rebirth, blah, 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 blah. This curse was bestowed upon me by the gods because I failed to stop Salem and the cast. So, the curse must have been bestowed upon the gods before they abandoned Remnant. Otherwise, how could they? More importantly, if they abandoned Remnant, which is a discussion all on its own, they would have no reason to care with what happens after they abandon it, which would mean Ozpin and Salem have been around, dare I say, a lot longer than thousands of years. So yeah. That's what I posted in the thread now and here, thus from watching older volumes, and honestly, it's very interesting. Ozpin seems to have been around even longer than he said, and Salem has been around just as long. If I'm interpreting this information correctly, Ozpin and Salem were both alive before the two gods abandoned Remnant, which must meant just thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands. Who knows how long, as long as the gods were kind of chilling. You know what I mean? In that case, should all this be true, it seems, they could have met the two gods. They were there when the relics were created. They were there when the gods abandoned Remnant. If this is true, they were both alive all the way back then, and there is a really solid chance Ozpin was really the king of Vale and the wizard. But we covered that already. Because I was supposed to do this theory last week and I forgot. I probably should have done it then, so then he would have been right. But he's still right, because he hasn't updated since this episode. So he was just, like, right, like, in the past, if that makes sense. Despite the alleged truth, Raven will tell Yang and Weiss we have no idea if she's just going to tell them what we already know. Okay, so this was, again, before that episode aired, and so obviously we know now. And so they have an update below. You know what's funny? As much as Ozpin hasn't given us a reason not to believe him, Salen hasn't given us a reason not to believe her either. Just because she's the villain does not mean she is a liar. I would like to correct that. Just because she is the antagonist does not mean she is a villain. Yes.
Yeah, I know you really still have a hard-on for her not being that evil.
No, it's not that, but, like, antagonist does not mean villain. No. It just means opposed to. Because if you're against me, Hunter, and I'm against you, we're both the antagonists in each other's story, but one of us may not necessarily be good or bad. You feel?
Yes.
Anyways, so Salem says you may prepare your guardians, build your monuments to a so-called free world, but take heed there will be no victory in strength. But perhaps there is victory in the simpler things that you've long forgotten. So they have that in quotes, things that require a more honest soul. So this is starting to make me think they were not always enemies, but something happened between them that caused this to unfold that could have been countless years ago. I agree with this. We talked about this in our Salem theory, but it's possible that they were working together at first and then something tore them apart, right? Because Ozpin says, like, things that you have long forgotten, right? And so she's been around so long that they're both sort of, I think they're both losing their humanity, to be honest, if that makes sense. Like, they've both lost themselves. You know, they've been around for so long that they are, I don't want to say that they are not negative to human life. What am I saying? Immune?
Opposed?
No, not even opposed. Like, numb to people dying, if that makes sense. Yeah. That they, when you see so many people cycle through like that, you start to forget that people are unique and real. Because he's just been cycling through teams and stuff. I guess numb is the right word. Like, numb to people dying, or just there's a better word for it. I'm sure you guys understand what I mean, though. It's fine. Anywho's, so basically, then there's another update. In the most recent episode, it's revealed that Ozpin gave Raven and Crow the ability to become birds. While this is not exactly bad, it's not exactly good either. It begs the question what else Ozpin has done. Another revelation made recently is sacrifice is clearly Raven's theme rather than Cinder's. That's still debatable, but a couple... Okay, here's what happened with that. So I was gonna do a video on that, but as I was editing the video and, like, getting it ready for release, I saw Eruption Fang did the exact same video, and I didn't want people to think I was stealing from him, so I canned it. If that makes sense. I should have done it earlier. I feel kind of, not stupid, but it was kind of like, if I had released it earlier, at least, like, people would have said that he was copying from me. You know what I mean? So I didn't end up releasing it, but yeah, I do agree with that, too. Like, there is a lot of... Ozpin is basically probably not a good person. Like, like, I wouldn't say Ozpin's the villain, but maybe he's not necessarily the hero that he's made it out to be. So, now, like, other things, like, so, Salem says, so he says that Salem is human or part of humanity, because in the intro she says this, legend, story scattered in time, mankind have grown quite fond of recounting the exploits of heroes and villains, forgetting so easily that we are remnants, byproducts of a forgotten past. So she says we, including yourself and mankind. So that is why the poster here thinks that Salem was human at least once. And again, he reiterates, she has given us really no reason not to trust her necessarily, same as Ozpin. And so he asks, how does Salem and Ozpin's past fit into the timeline? What exactly is the timeline of events? What happened between them to cause them to become enemies? And what did Salem do that resulted in the two gods cursing Ozpin for failing to stop her? So, I think this is a great theory. It ties in with a lot of other videos we've done on the channel. I wouldn't even say it's really of a theory. It's just opening a dialogue, and those are sort of the videos I love most. If you guys know, like, not that I have a problem with game theory or anything, but my problem with game theory is he's kind of saying, this is right. You know what I mean? Like, he's presenting everything he says as this is, I mean, I don't want to say this is fact, because obviously it's just a theory, a game theory, but he's not saying this is something that you guys should discuss. It's like, here is the truth. I have found it. Like, no. Like, I much prefer videos that start opening up a dialogue where the YouTubers, like, here, like, talk about this in the comments, or even start a dialogue with your friends, which is why I'm watching some other people, for content like that. And so, I feel like that this is one of those things where, it points out all of the evidence really well, because I feel like I don't understand how people think Salem is still younger than Ozpin. Like, I still don't get that. Like, logically, it doesn't make any sense for Ozpin to be cursed because he didn't stop Salem for thousands of years if she didn't exist for thousands of years. And I know I've said that a bunch, but, like, people confuse me. That's all I wanted to say. So I feel like this is really well done. It is the start of a great dialogue. It fits in with other videos we've done, and so if you guys want to check out our Ozpin and Salem relationships video, or of their relationship, our theories, if you guys want to kind of look at that. But yeah, I really do like this. I think it's a good addition to kind of the theory-scape, if we want to call it that. It's a good, like, it's good to have it included in the discussion, and I think it's good to kind of show some people, like, there are hints within the narrative that, like, Salem is not necessarily a grim person. She was human once because she includes herself in humanity. She's not saying that she is separate or better than humans. She is kind of a human herself, but she has a different way of going about things. Let's just put it that way. You know what I mean? So, I really enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this too. You guys are so creative with some of the stuff that you make. And, like, even if you're not Patreons, guys, you guys know you can send me theories over the Discord. It doesn't mean I'll do them, but if your theory is good and I like it, that's basically what kind of happens sometimes, is that, like, someone will suggest something and I'll be like, that's a great idea, and then you don't. I don't want to say you don't have to pay, but, like, you don't need to be a Patreon if I like what you're doing. You know what I mean? And so, like, if I feel a great connection with what you're saying, you know, if I feel inspired by your work. But again, you guys can be a Patreon to help support the channel and get us to cover your theories. But this doesn't really happen that often where I'm like, Hunter, we must do this, I saw it on the amino. Like, you know what I mean? And so you guys can send us them though, and like, even if we don't do a video on it, we will give feedback in the Discord server and it'll all be Gucci. So anyway, you guys should do that, become patrons on Patreon, and that's basically it. We will see you later. Bye guys.